This one was a blast from the past for me. This is The Decline of Western Civilization, Part 2 of the Metal Years. This is a documentary. It was made in 1988. It deals with the heavy metal music industry. Now, it has interviews with some like veteran metal acts, as well as interviews with up-and-coming bands, or supposedly up-and-coming bands, and it has concert footage from some of those bands, as well as some established stuff. Very well made. It's a quality documentary. Some of the interviews are really interesting. Some of them are just... it depends who it's with, right? I've been a metal fan for the majority of my life, I guess. I don't know, since I was a tween, perhaps. And this movie, unfortunately, doesn't really deal with the kind of metal that I like. This movie kind of leans a little bit more towards the glam metal, hair metal, pop metal kind of scene. When they say the metal years, when you think of heavy metal, do you think of bands like Poison? Do you think about bands like, I don't know, Cinderella or those kind of bands? Or do you think about actual heavy metal bands like Metallica or Iron Maiden or Judas Priest or Black Sabbath, even Led Zeppelin, you know? Those are quality metal bands. This movie, unfortunately, shows us a lot of the kind of crap, garbage, LA metal, glam hair bands, the stuff that I don't care for. For instance, on the cover here, it tells you, it's got performances by Megadeth. Okay, Megadeth's not one of those bands. But Faster Pussycat. Okay, Megadeth we've heard of, right? I mean, if you're a metal fan, you've heard of Megadeth. Faster Pussycat, you might have heard of them too. This movie was made when they were just like up and coming, and has interviews and footage, concert footage of theirs. Then it goes into bands like Lizzie Borden, London, Odin, Seduce. Now, those three on the bottom there, I'd never heard of those. And they, as far as I know, made their debut in this movie. But we get like lengthy segments on these three crappy poser metal bands that nobody had ever heard of before or after this, and it's just a waste of time. The better parts of this movie are the parts like the interviews with like more established metal acts. Yeah, it's a really great interview with Ozzy, and he's in his kitchen and he's making breakfast, and the interviewer is asking him about road stories and things like that, and his experiences with drugs and alcohol and all that stuff over the years. And meanwhile, Ozzy's saying, I don't do that stuff anymore, or we used to be really, really bad, and he's making his breakfast, and he's like cracking eggs and stuff, and his eggs look horrible, and he throws a bunch of bacon in the pan, and they focus on this for some reason while he's talking. He throws a bunch of bacon in a pan, he cooks it up for like a minute or something like that, and it's still like raw and pink, and then he just dumps it on his plate, and then he's pouring orange juice, and he's pouring it all over the table. Freaking Ozzy, man. Probably my favorite part of this entire movie was the interview with Chris Holmes, lead guitarist of W.A.S.P. There's a picture on the back too. He's fully clothed in a pool lounger in his pool, just hanging out, and they're filming him from the side of the pool, and he is just drunk off his ass, and like legit, and his mother is sitting in a chair just next to the pool, and every once in a while they're asking him questions and he's answering, and he's super drunk and he makes no sense. Every once in a while they cut over to his mother sitting there looking kind of concerned, And just his behavior in this is hilarious and unscripted, as far as I know. Keeps drinking and talking about how, he's a piece of crap and he doesn't care. He's got $1 million and he doesn't care. And he just drinks all the time. He's a full blown alcoholic and he's talking about all this stuff. But he's actually really entertaining. And he eventually just like chugs a bottle of vodka and pours it over his head and stuff. And oh man, rock and roll, am I right? Now, I hadn't seen this movie in oh, decades. Let's say it's probably been like 1990 was the last time I saw this, so like 30 years ago. I guess the point of this entire movie is to show the decadence and debauchery of heavy metal. Drugs and groupies and how terrible the heavy metal industry was back in 1988. It's just too bad that they spent so much time focusing on bands like Poison and Faster Pussycat and completely ignored bands like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Van Halen. Guns N' Roses isn't even in this, and this is right when Guns N' Roses hit. I guess they couldn't afford them or something. None of those bands that are even mentioned in there. Now, I haven't seen The Decline of Western Civilization Part 1, but I understand it's all about punk rock, that kind of thing. I'm going to look for that one. I don't think it's going to be quite as easy to find that on VHS, even though this one was not easy to find. So overall, I'm glad I got this. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's roughly 90 minutes. It's enjoyable. I will admit that I fast forwarded through a few of the songs because they're by these like lame ass unknown bands. But overall, I'm glad I watched this. I took an hour and a half of my life and watched the Metal Years, and it reminded me of my life back in like 1988, and I thought that was cool. If I had to give it a letter grade, I think I would maybe give this a B. I would watch it again, but I don't think I'll wait 30 years to watch it again. I enjoyed it enough to want to talk about it, for one thing, especially for that Ozzy interview and the interview with Chris Holmes. Those two scenes alone are worth the price of admission, or at least the $1.29 I paid for this video cassette. So yeah, rock on.